Hello, Mr. Backman here with our third edition of Docendo Discamus. Before we start talking about the sentence, just a quick little check retrieval practice. So I show you a card with a definition showing an ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Showing an ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Now, if you did Docendo Discamus number 1 and number 2, you might be able to come up with an adjective for that. The good news is, if you can't come up with it, you can't retrieve it from your short-term, long-term memory. You will have it on the back of your card. And there it is, empathetic. So that's the idea of the cards, looking at these words and just knowing what you know and then getting feedback on what you don't know. Now, we haven't had the words yet, but here's a word history mystery for you. What does a noun meaning a summary have in common with a noun that refers to words with the same meaning? So we're talking about two separate nouns here. Could you think of a word that would have to do with a summary? Another word for that? How about a word that means words with common, the same meaning, or at least generally the same meaning? That's a little bit more common in English classes past. You probably have talked about words that have the same meaning. We call those synonyms, right? So the two words we're looking for is synonym and synopsis. And of course, those two have that Latin root that has to do with the same. So the same name is what synonym means, which means same meaning. And then of course, synopsis is taking everything and boiling it down into a short summary. All right, let's start Docendo Discamus 3 by looking at our sentence here. Before beginning our study of the book, a novel by Mark Twain, we read a synopsis of it. And of course, synopsis is the word. Synonym is just the additional word for us here. We know that a synopsis is a summary. Seeing things together is what it translates to, basically. And you might have written synopsis before or read synopsis of things. But look at that sentence and ask yourself, okay, is there any problem here? I'm thinking like an editor right now, and I'm trying to make sure this sentence is correct. Looks like all the spelling is correct. Do you see a problem with capitalization? They're talking about a book, and they're talking about a novel. Well, a novel is a type of book, but it's not a title. So we really shouldn't capitalize that, should we? So we should make novel, which is a general noun, lowercase. Now, Twain is correct because that's a proper name of an author. We should keep that. Any other problems here? You're probably saying, we need some punctuation in the sentence. It's kind of things are thrown together here. Before beginning our study of the book, it sounds like there's something interrupting here, isn't there? A novel by Mark Twain, comma. We read a synopsis of it. So notice what we got here is an opening phrase telling us when this happened, before beginning, and then they've interrupted it by telling us more about this book. Now, when you use a phrase that tells you more about a noun, and you have that phrase right next to the word that it modifies, that's called an appositive phrase. And that's a phrase that we should have a name for because good writers use appositive all the time. And typically, we set those off by commas. So in this case, this sentence is much more clear if we have that in there. So now it should make sense, right? Before beginning our study of the book, comma, a novel by Mark Twain, we read a synopsis of it. I think it's now very clear. And of course, the it there is a pronoun. We know that the pronoun refers back to the book. That's called the antecedent. Not a term you necessarily need to know, but it's important when you're using pronouns that they're clear. And I think in this sense, it's very clear that we're talking about the it there is the book. Okay, good. So I think we got that sentence down. Now let's take a look at the definition. So we want to write down synopsis, a seeing things together, a brief summary, general summary. And then the second noun here is synonym, a word or phrase that means exactly or nearly the same as another word. And of course, this is an important word in English because we have a thesaurus and we have lots and lots of synonyms in English. That's one of the great things of being a writer. And these words have subtle little differences in them. So for example, is a summary the same as a synopsis? Well, they're pretty close. They're synonymous. So here's the root from Latin, and it means together with or the same. So when you have words like syllogism, symposium, syndrome, syntax, synthesis, synchronous. So for example, we talk about synchronous and asynchronous. So basically, synchronous means same time and asynchronous means not the same time. So when we're synchronous, basically everybody's on Zoom together at the same time. So that's a good root to know because you'll see that root quite a bit. And that's one of those many roots that we adopted from Latin. All right, just a quick review here of the sentence and the corrections we made. We added a comma. We should know why we added that comma there. We should know why that comma is there. We could call this the appositive comma. Typically, they come in twos, not always, but because you're setting off a phrase that tells you more about a noun. And so it's just good to have a name for that because it's not just any comma, it's a specific comma used in a specific purpose. So let's have a name for it, the appositive comma. And then, of course, we shouldn't capitalize novel. In this case, we're not talking about a specific book. We don't have the title of the specific book. We just have the novel there. Okay, now quick little sneak preview for next time. What does an adjective meaning never having happened before have in common with an adjective related to a child who has developed certain abilities earlier than usual? So think about that. Make sure you get your sentence down. Make sure you get your definitions down. By now, we have 6 words that we should know for Docendo Discamus, and you should quiz yourself on those using your cards. All right, I'll see you next time. Take care.